Welcome to Salute to the Ears, where my family and I discuss everything Disney, from parks, food, and rides to travel tips, movies, and more.
On episode 3, we are talking about Walt Disney World reopening and our favorite moderate resorts. Find out how many resort rooms there actually are on Walt Disney World property.
So, welcome back. It's been a bit. Summer has finally kicked into gear around here. It's been hot, like really hot over here the last week and a half. Around here, for you guys that don't know, it is humid. As in really humid, as in Florida type humid here in Kansas City. When it's 95 degrees, it feels like 110. And you walk outside and you're sweaty and you're nasty and you're gross.
It just makes you want to go to Florida and go to Disney World because you're already gross, and so you might as well be someplace happy.
Exactly. So, during this time, a lot of things have happened down in Disney World.
The parks reopened.
Yes, all the parks officially open now. Not a whole lot of people there.
No, it's actually been really quiet from what we've seen from cast members and other bloggers and vloggers, that it really seems like it's been very quiet.
Mm-hmm. Opening days seem to be the most crowded, except for maybe Hollywood. Hollywood's been fairly crowded, especially on the weekend. Everybody wants to ride Mickey and Minnie, Rise of the Resistance.
I was gonna say you have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and then you also got Rise of the Resistance, and so both of those being brand new in the last year means that those are going to be the most highly sought after.
Right. And then you got Toy Story Land. They got all the rides everybody wants to go to right now.
Yeah. And that's the main thing that you can go do at the parks right now, is really you're there for the rides, more than anything. So many of the shows aren't running. So many of, the other things to do are not happening.
Right.
So, I mean, the basis of being there right now is rides.
Right. Yep. Although if you do like food and wine, it looks like that's going on. It looks pretty good.
It does. I did just see on DFB that they are doing a lot of little kind of mini tastings. Seems like a lot more portions this year that are a little better in price.
Right.
A little more grab and go.
So you can eat more.
Yeah.
As in more variety other than just more in one setting.
Yeah.
Right. Lots of things going on down there. You got MLS is down there. We watched Sporting Win.
We watched Sporting Win.
So
that was a nice way to spend this week.
Yeah. Nope. It was like they were having a good time. Good time down there. Getting to watch them hang out at Swan and Dolphin. The NBA's down there.
Yeah.
They're staying in 3 hotels. They're staying in the Grand Floridian in half of it.
So jealous.
Yep. Staying in Yacht Club.
So jealous.
Yep.
Yep. I've stayed at Beach. I haven't stayed at Yacht Club, technically, but they're connected.
Right. And then they're staying in Grand Destino. That's over at Coronado. And that takes us to what we want to talk about today.
Yep.
Is moderate resorts. So you got 5 moderate resorts with Coronado with Grand Destino attached to it now, Caribbean Beach, Port Orleans, Riverside and French Quarter, and then the cabins at Fort Wilderness.
Yeah.
We have stayed at 4 of the 5.
We have stayed everywhere but cabins of Fort Wilderness. And even then, we've looked into it before, but just haven't ever pulled the trigger on it.
Right. We haven't stayed at Grand Destino, but we have stayed at Coronado.
For those of you who don't know, Disney has 3 different types of resort properties throughout their property. So you have deluxe resorts, and then the moderate resorts, and value resorts. And just like they sound, they're kind of a high, middle, and lower tiered property. So all of them have amazing theming. All of them have fantastic rooms. They are all worth staying at and trying. Really is dependent on budget and what you want for your stay. So our favorite place to stay is the moderate properties. And that's the ones that we have stayed at the most as a family and we know the most about.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break these down. We're going to go through each of them, give a couple things that we like, one that we don't, and then at the end we'll give our rankings. Okay?
Sounds like a good plan.
All right. So we'll start off at Coronado Springs. Coronado Springs is designed for the business traveler in mind. They have a lot of conventions there.
Yeah.
What I like about it, Gran Destino looks fantastic. It looks to be the nicest, plushest out of all of the moderate.
Plushious.
Yeah, that's a word. Plushiest? The nicest, most luxurious. Is that better?
Yeah, there we go. It's the most luxurious moderate, I would say.
Yeah, it's like a moderate plus. Mm-hmm. Great food that they've put into Gran Destino, and good amenities. They've done a good job on the remodel of all the rooms. All of the rooms at Coronado have been redone. It's Latin driven, Hispanic driven.
Mm-hmm. Who was it that a lot of the art is designed?
Salvador Dali.
That's right.
Yep. Walt and Salvador Dali were friends.
Really?
Yeah, kind of an odd combination, but they were friends, and Salvador Dali was actually doing an animation with Walt that never got finished.
Oh.
That's what the Gran Destino ended up being based off of. So, yeah.
I like it.
Yep. So it's a resort. If you're going as a couple, not a whole lot of kids necessarily running around there.
Not quite as many.
Yeah. The Disney is hidden more. It's
Yeah,
more subtle.
it's a little more subtle. It's
Right.
And depending on where you're at, the theming is still there, but
Right.
like they have a great pool.
Great pool. Yep. It's definitely one of the pluses. Great pool for the kids. It's on the back side of the resort. So it's kind of away from all the convention people, the business people. Mm-hmm. New grill and bar and grill. 3 bridges there in the middle.
Yeah, that looks really good.
It looks fantastic. They do a good job of still subtly making it feel like Disney without going over the top.
Right.
So, which is good. And it's a good place to escape to for couples, I think.
That is.
In the Gran Destino in particular.
Particularly Gran Destino Tower.
Right.
It seems like it has, it has more of a hotel feel, right? You feel like you're going more to a luxury hotel,
Right.
rather than, staying on a Disney resort
Right.
property.
Yep. All your rooms are inside, which are nice. Has the crazy elevator where you like push your floor on the tablet outside. It tells you what elevator to go to, and then it just takes you to that floor, which is crazy. You don't push any buttons inside.
That kind of freaks me out.
Yeah. How you know you're getting off on the right floor?
Well, I think there's still something inside that tells you what floor you're on.
Maybe. Maybe not. So...
Okay, well, I'm taking the stairs if we ever stay at Gran Destino. That just solidified that for me.
So the thing about Gran Destino, I think, is my negative, and this is Coronado, Gran Destino, both, is you are quite a ways away from all the parks. Transportation is only bus.
Right.
And this is an Animal Kingdom park, or Animal Kingdom hotel. You're a ways away from Magic Kingdom and Epcot and
Right.
Hollywood. It's a long bus ride. And if you got littles with you at the end of the night, holding a stroller, after fireworks, it's a long...
You know nothing about that.
Nothing about that. Nothing.
You know everything about that.
The food, like the quick service stuff, is just quick service stuff. Wasn't anything spectacular. It was easy to navigate through.
However, it has all been changed and updated since we were there. Because
Right.
when we were there, they were getting ready to build Gran Destino. So, they've added restaurants. They've changed the way that the quick service within the
Yeah.
resorts works across the board from that.
Right. And
Trip.
lots of bars.
There are a lot more bars. I think that one has more bars than just about any of them.
Yeah.
There's at least 5 bars or bar and grills. Mm-hmm. And again, it appeals to the adult traveler and the ones who are there for conventions and meetings and other things like that. Or like something that appeals to families like Caribbean Beach, where we stayed on our last trip.
That is true. That is where we stayed. And I'm going to let you talk about Caribbean Beach.
Okay. So Caribbean Beach is also a huge resort, much like Coronado is. It's actually an Epcot resort, which
Yeah.
I really like because I feel like Epcot resorts, a lot of the Epcot resorts also are very close to Hollywood Studios,
Right.
particularly Caribbean Beach. It now has the Skyliner access, which is
Awesome.
amazing. I was so hesitant about using Skyliner for transportation, and it was fantastic. We even had one trip where we stopped for, I don't know, 2 minutes
Yeah.
or so in the air, and my anxiety definitely went up a little bit,
Right.
but it really wasn't bad.
No,
The breeze.
I figured at some point I was gonna have to pull your fingernails out of my leg, but that never happened.
No, it really was very relaxing and it felt incredibly safe. And the cast members that were working it were amazing. We rode it both just going through the regular line as well as going through,
Like going up to the hub, or
no, going, also riding where we rode with my dad, where he had an electric
oh
scooter.
yeah, yep,
And so dealing with both lines. And so the way that you get on with like scooters or wheelchairs, or, anybody who needs a little extra assistance
Yep.
getting onto the Skyliner, they were so, so great. But it is a really big resort. And so not only do you have the bus access and now Skyliner access to both
Right.
Hollywood Studios and Epcot, you also have an internal bus system there, which is nice.
which is nice, yeah.
You have themed rooms as well as regular rooms. They have the pirate rooms, which I love.
They're probably my favorite themed rooms there.
Well, and I think it was a perfect fit for that resort.
Right.
You really couldn't have done them anywhere else.
No, nope. I think that's really the only one that they could have done.
I would
there.
say the biggest downside of that is the pirate rooms are the farthest away from everything.
Right.
So they do have their own smaller restaurant within that section of rooms, but you're far away from the main lobby. You're closer to the transportation hub for Skyliner, but still not quite the same.
Right. If you want to get up in the morning and go get breakfast, you got to go all the way.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hike if you're walking it or you got to wait on the bus. However, I really did like the way that they had things set up within the lobby now.
Beautiful.
And it's really beautiful. They did a fantastic job. The pool is awesome there too. One of the cool things about the pool is that when the fireworks are going, and
Right.
please Disney, bring them back. Someday, bring them back. That you can actually see the fireworks out over Epcot from
Right.
the pool and the walkway that overlooks Hourglass Lake at Caribbean Beach.
Right. I was happy to see the fireworks. You know what? You know why? That was the same night Patrick Mahomes dislocated his knee, and I was not in a good spot. Then I
No.
saw the fireworks, and I was okay.
Yeah, you were not a
I-
very
I was-
happy camper
I
at
was
that
not
point.
happy.
That was, I think, if we hadn't been exhausted from traveling, you and Jackson both would not have slept because you didn't know
No.
what was going on with our beloved Mahomes. I really do think that this is a great option for a lot of families.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's even a decent option if you are doing multiple rooms with groups. It was not hard to get to. It wasn't even that hard going to Magic Kingdom.
No.
Animal Kingdom is a little bit longer of a ride, but it is from just about everywhere on property.
Right.
There's just no getting around that
Nope.
unless you were staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
And the only way there is you either drive yourself or you take a bus.
Yeah.
There's no other way to Animal Kingdom.
But, I think it had everything that we were really looking for in a property to stay at. And we had all of the amenities that we needed
Absolutely.
for our family with older kids.
Right. I completely agree. No, it was a good resort. Love the Skyliner. Mm-hmm. Especially with, Jackson loves going over to Hollywood Studios, so it was nice just to hop on that thing, and it was like, 6 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was 6 minutes from the time you were
Once you
actually
got
on board and to
Yeah.
fly across to
was-
Hollywood Studios.
was
And then it was a
nothing.
really easy entrance into Hollywood Studios
Yeah.
there. Now, I know that's a little different right now with COVID, but it's still really close to the entrance to
Right.
Hollywood Studios, so that
Yep.
made it very simple. However, the entrance from the Skyliner to Epcot is in World Showcase.
Yeah.
It is on the backside near the water landing entrance in World Showcase out by, what is that, the France Pavilion? And it's a little bit more difficult if you are needing to get to things in Epcot that are up front versus being in World Showcase. If you're taking the Skyliner over from Caribbean Beach to Epcot, you have to plan for, you're not coming in at the front entrance like you are at Hollywood
Right.
Studios. You're coming in, somewhere.
Right. And that was what, like a 20-minute ride or something like that? 15, 20 minutes, something
I
like
think
that?
it's like 15. It's
Yeah.
not bad. And part of that is because we couldn't catch it at Riviera. You had to go
Right.
down to the hub and take it up to Riviera. Riviera was not open yet when we were there in
just
October.
going slow through there.
Yeah. And then so you kind of had a little more of a wait there. It's a longer route to Epcot, but and then Riviera is also on the property where Caribbean Beach is, but it's a DVC
Right.
property.
Right. Haven't stayed there.
No, someday.
Someday.
Someday we will stay there. It is absolutely stunning and fits in really well with the surrounding buildings. And yes, it's large, but it just works.
Right. It does. So another really good family one that we've stayed at isn't open yet.
And we don't know when it's going to open.
Right. Port Orleans Riverside is what I'm going to talk about next. It's not open yet. It's been a few years since we stayed there, but it hasn't really changed a whole lot.
No,
It's another one that is big.
it is. I mean, I think most of the moderates are, larger in scale just because you have these larger scale properties because you
Yeah.
have all these buildings
Right.
that house your rooms versus just one large
Right.
central one that houses most of your rooms.
So, loved the theming and everything that goes along with this one. It was a very pretty resort. Lots of pretty magnolia trees. There's lots of pools around.
Yes.
There's several different, we call them neighborhoods. I don't know what they're actually called, but we'll call them neighborhoods. And each little neighborhood has its own little neighborhood pool. And then there's the main pool in the middle. You got the big water wheel.
Oh, at boat rides
Yeah.
at the dining hall.
Yeah, where you got your sit-down restaurant. And you got your quick service there. I just like there's different varieties of buildings. And then you still have the specialty themed room. So if you got a little girl and she likes princesses,
Yes.
this is for you.
Yeah. And are those the same? Are those the headboards that do the fireworks?
Fireworks, yep. The headboards light up. And then you got several princesses on the wall staring down at you.
So parents, be prepared that there are portraits of majority of the classic princesses as well
Right.
as Tiana and a couple other ones.
Yeah.
They're like the main classic princesses, and then I know Tiana's got her own portrait and somebody else.
Right.
I can't think of who it is off the top of my head, but it's a really cute room. It's a little over the top for me,
Yeah.
which is saying a lot because I'm kind of a girly girl and I liked having a girly
Yep.
girl daughter that was into princesses and all the things. I mean, Brooklyn rocked that belle dress that
Oh,
one
my
year when
goodness.
we went.
I felt like she was in a belle dress or Cinderella dress. Or there was one more that she wore. Like, she just had a rotation going.
She had her Rapunzel.
That's it. Yeah.
She wore her Rapunzel dress to threads, man.
Yeah.
She wore that thing all the time.
Yep.
And it said, do not wash in the washing machine, but
Right.
that's where it went.
Yep. So, what I really like about this resort is it kind of caters to everybody. It can be a very romantic resort for couples, but then it's also a fantastic one for families and little girls.
And I would say, even if you want to go more the romantic side as far as Port Orleans, I would stay on the French Quarter side. French Quarter, they're attached together, but they are two separate resorts. They have two separate lobbies. They have, two separate reservations. but they are walking distance to each other.
Right.
They're technically connected. You share a bus system.
You also share a boat system to
share
Disney Springs.
A boat to Disney Springs. But French Quarter is a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the smallest. I think it is the smallest moderate.
Yeah. I think not even close.
There's a lot of things to do around, with staying there. They have your favorite thing at Disney.
Oh, beignets.
They have beignets. So you can get them a couple other places in the parks, but as far as a resort, French Quarter is where to get the best beignets.
I want to try the boozy beignet.
The boozy beignet?
You can fill it full of booze. They give you a little squirty thing to stick inside of there, and you squirt it in there, and it's like...
I don't think we can talk about that on our podcast, babe.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Lord. One of the other things I know we really like about Port Orleans is that at least Riverside is one of the few dog-friendly resorts.
Right.
And so if you have a service animal, it's one of the resorts that you can have that service animal no issue.
Yep. Knowing lots of military people, know several that have service dogs, great place for them to go.
Yes.
Yep. French Quarter has a special connection for us.
Yes.
That's where we went for our honeymoon.
Our belated honeymoon.
Right. Which feels like a lifetime ago.
It was end of 2007.
Was
so
it? Yeah.
Almost
It was,
13 years ago.
After that first deployment. Yep.
Yeah, I have my entire timeline of our marriage is based on what years were you deployed?
Yeah. Yep.
And where does it fit into that? It's either based on when were the children born or when were you deployed.
Right.
That's okay. It's just
That's
how we
it
mark
is.
time. That's
Yep.
how you mark time in a military family is which duty station and which deployment are we talking about?
Right. And then which kid in between.
And then which kid in between and which duty station were they born at? It really is a really, like, I hate to call it a cute resort because I don't know that that's the best fitting word, but after staying at other expansive ones, that's
right.
It's intimate. Intimate is a better word.
Yeah, there you go. Just took the word right out of my mouth.
I'm good at that.
Yep. It's a very nice, simple, intimate resort. They have a great pool. If you do have kids there, they have a fun one too. So
yeah, they have the Neptune pool.
Right. But if you have a big family,
I would not
stay there.
I could do a multi-room setup if you're doing like multi-generational trip. Riverside's good for a multi-generational, like multi-room trip if you're wanting to go that route versus doing a suite and having a suite or a villa. Sometimes it's cheaper to stay and do 2 rooms than it is to do a suite.
Right.
We have found that out with traveling with my dad a couple of times that it is actually worked out better for us to just book 2 rooms.
Yep.
It's not always the case.
Right.
But it has worked out well for us that way. It's worth looking into, but I would not do trying to house just a bigger family.
Right. I think if you got a bigger family, sometimes getting 2 rooms isn't an option.
Yeah.
I think what I'd look at is probably the cabins over at Fort Wilderness. We haven't gotten to stay there. It's one of those maybe we should. And then something always sways us away.
Yeah, it pulls us away. Like the Skyliner pulled us away this time to Caribbean Beach.
The cabins are more expensive than most of the moderate rooms, but less expensive than renting 2 rooms.
Right.
Yeah. So in there you have a queen bed, 2 bunk beds, and a pull out from the sofa,
right.
So you can sleep quite a few people in there.
Yeah, and I definitely think it works well for families who do not want to spend all of their time in the park, or they don't plan on being park sunrise to sunup. Or open to close. What is that?
Right.
What is that called? You do it
rope drop.
Drop to fireworks.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Rope drop to fireworks. You have, if you want to be able to eat breakfast on your own, you can bring in food. You have a small kitchenette in the cabin.
You have a kitchen. You can cook meals in there, and you got dishes, and you got stuff there to where you can eat right there. And if you have pickier kids, or you're tired of your kids having Mickey waffles every morning and you're there for an extended time.
Or if your kids have special dietary needs.
Right.
While every single Disney restaurant and resort restaurant will do everything they can to accommodate those dietary needs and those allergies, they are really, really, really good about trying to work around that the best that they can and accommodate what you need. We've experienced that with some of mine. But not every person that's an option for. And not every kid especially is that an option for because they may just really only like this one certain breakfast food or may only like this one certain thing for lunch or there's a lot of things that we deal with, when you're a kid or a parent who has a kid with allergies or sensory issues or, different abilities.
Right.
And this is a good option for that where it's a lot more relaxed. And you can have food sent in, you can order it kind of like Amazon Pantry. And you can be able to take your own lunches with you to the parks.
Right. Because you can take food in with you.
Yeah. It's also a great resort if you're driving in.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
not flying in.
Right. It's close to Fort Wilderness, Wilderness Lodge. So you got things up there you can do too. And it has more than one mode of transportation to Magic Kingdom. You can hop on the boat.
Oh, right.
And go to Magic Kingdom. It's not a fast boat, but it's a boat.
It's a slow boat.
Yeah.
But it's a nice ride. I really don't mind the ferry rides.
Right. And if you time it right at night,
it's really pretty.
You can see the fireworks from the boat.
It's really a nice trip.
It is. It's something different. It's something we may try out one of these times.
Yeah, I definitely think we always try to pack in so much, and we are totally rope dropped fireworks people, and we try to pack in so much into a day, and we're usually there for a limited amount of days. So it's always felt like we have all of these things to do there, and all it's really more of a you want to have a relaxed vacation resort than being just go in the parks.
Yep. So that was really some of the things that we like, and a few of the things we've not quite so big on each of them. Let's go ahead and rank them. And we'll start with 5. So our least favorite, okay, which I think for both of us is going to be the cabins.
I'm going to put the cabins down there because I haven't stayed there, and it just doesn't fit our needs for a family and the way that we do Disney. So I would say that it's 5 for us, only for those things. Okay. It really is a cool property, though.
Right. Okay. So what's your number 4? Bum, bum, bum.
I would probably say Coronado.
Yeah.
Not Gran Destino Tower because we haven't stayed at that part. We haven't been back there since they built Gran Destino Tower and did all of that. So I can't speak into that aspect of it. But as far as just the overall expanse of the resort, I think that Coronado's my 4.
I think Coronado would be my 4 with an asterisk of if Gran Destino is as nice as I think it is, can move up to my 1 or 2 once I stay there. I think that's where I'm at.
It's like it's either really great or it's down there.
I have pretty high hopes for Gran Destino.
Oh, I do too. I just think that as far as when a lot of people aren't going to be staying at Gran Destino Tower.
Right.
A lot of people are still going to be staying out in the neighborhoods and out in those, the smaller buildings and the regular rooms. Right. And so when you're talking about those as an overall resort, that's where it ranks as my 4.
Yeah. Oh, fun fact, by the way, Coronado Springs, same size as Magic Kingdom.
Is it really?
Yep. Almost exactly.
No wonder we were walking so many miles the time that we stayed there.
Yep. All right. So number 3.
It's a toss-up for me between Riverside and French Quarter from Port Orleans. Between 3 and 2.
Yeah. I feel like when I'm going 1, 2, 3, I'm kind of splitting hairs. I think for me, number 3 is probably going to be Riverside. Just because it's so much bigger and there's only one mode of transportation.
No. Well, you have 2 modes of transportation, but the ferries go to Disney Springs.
Right. I'm talking about to the parks. Right.
Yeah. And you do. And you share a bus system with French Quarter, which means that sometimes those bus lines get really long.
Right. So then that makes my number 2.
Okay, I'm just going to say it. So my 2 and 3 are Riverside and French Quarter, and I think that those are just interchangeable for me. They're so connected that it's
Right.
hard for me to separate them. My number 1 is Caribbean right now. While I would say the rooms they're nice, but they're just nice. I mean, there's nothing like super crazy special about most of the rooms outside of the pirate rooms. But I think that one was one of the best fits that we've had for our family
Right.
while we were actually staying there.
Right.
Like, it was the easiest one for us. And maybe it's just because now we've traveled with the kids a couple different times. And so it felt easier and they're a little bit older. But it was my favorite. And I really do like the Skyliner.
Yep. I do too. I really like the Skyliner, but I really like beignets. So I'm going back and forth. I think it depends on, like, if it's just you and me going, then I'd probably pick French Quarter.
Yeah.
For going as a family, then I'm going to pick Caribbean because of the Skyliner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, just you and me and the Skyliner's okay too, right?
It is. We can still ride a Skyliner. Okay. So we talked moderate rooms. Talked about how some of the hotels are big.
Yes.
There's lots of hotels there. We talked about how there's deluxe, moderate, and value.
Yes.
Lots of hotels. This is your pop quiz.
Okay.
How many rooms?
Well, I don't know. I know it's in the thousands. 25,000.
Go
many?
higher. Higher.
29,000.
36,000.
What?
36,000. Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot of people.
It is.
I mean, if you think that there's like even just double occupancy in those rooms, which most of them are going to be more like 2 adults and 2 kids at least.
Right.
I
or
mean,
more.
Or more.
Yeah, because, I mean, some of these, you're talking about villas with multiple rooms, and it gets crazy. It's
That's
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah. It's a whole lot of rooms.
Way to go, Disney.
We hope that was helpful if you're thinking about rooms.
Especially if you're thinking about planning trips for, late 2021 or,
Right.
Sometime in the next couple of years. Hopefully, Port Orleans will open back up sometime in the next few months.
Yep.
We're not really sure what's going on there. Everybody seems to be in the dark right now of what
There's
is happening.
a few resorts that haven't opened yet, and they don't have dates yet. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the deal is, when those dates are coming out. Any kind of discounts other than annual pass holders and 4-day residents. Mm-hmm. Usually that stuff drops like September-ish.
Yeah.
So
right now it sounds like everything is kind of on hold. All of the changes right now for rooms and dining plans and all those kinds of things. Anything that would be an amenity of staying on property is all kind of on hold until September of next year.
Right.
So we'll see if it comes back earlier. It could,
and it's much easier for them to add stuff to it, as in, okay, we can bring more people in, we can add discounts, we can do all these things rather than having to take stuff away.
Oh, absolutely.
And give people money back again because they don't want to do that. Yeah.
If you are planning a trip, hope this was beneficial, and we wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Make sure if you want to hear more that you click that subscribe button and find us on Instagram and Twitter at Salute to the Ears.
And as always, find your joy and have a magical week.